Yeah.
So in this episode of our Commissioners Podcast, we're going to be talking about the 2023 National Jamboree. With us tonight, we have Archer Jones, our Council Commissioner, Jay DuBois, our Assistant Council Commissioner. We also have Bob Brady, our Executive Vice President, and Don Fowler is our special guest with us tonight. And he'll tell you a little bit more about his role in scouting. And then for those who don't know me, I am Jason Dugan, the Deputy Scout Executive. Don, great that you could join us. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I've heard a lot of good things about this podcast, and I'm excited to be on it.
Well, we're happy to have you here tonight, Don. So, as the chair of the National Scout Jamboree Committee, you must have a lot of interest in the National Scout Jamboree.
Oh, I definitely do. At Jamboree, they've been going back all the way back to 1935 was the first Jamboree. Unfortunately, it was canceled due to a polio pandemic. But in 1937, they actually had one. It was in Washington, D.C. They had 25,000 scouts come down and descend on Washington, D.C. And it was an amazing event. It was so great, they decided to do it again. So in 1950 at Valley Forge, they had the second Jamboree, and 47,000 scouts went down to that. In 1957, they started to go every 4 years, roughly. So we've been having Jamborees ever since then.
Have you attended any national jamborees before?
Well, as a youth, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to a Jamboree. But when my oldest son, Will, was a Weeblos, we went down to the 2010 Jamboree, which was the last one at Fort A.P. Hill. They sort of jumped around a little bit early on, but then in 1981, they kind of stabilized at Fort A.P. Hill, and they were there for quite a long time until 2010. In 2013, my oldest son actually was a participant, and the whole family went down to visit him. And by then, it was the Summit Bechtel Reserve, which is the high adventure base that BSA has down in West Virginia. And ever since then, that's been designated as the permanent base for Jamborees. So we went down to that one. And then in 2017, I was lucky enough to have all three of my sons go. And I interviewed as a contingent leader. I was accepted. So I was down there. And finally, after all that time, I was able to go as a participant.
You mentioned a contingent leader position. What is that?
So the way a Jamboree is structured, each council sends down a group of provisional troops. And they form a contingent. Each troop has 36 youth and 4 adults. So that's an interview process. Leaders approach council, and for our 2023 Jamboree, we've already had a bit of a lengthy interview process, and we've selected the 20 leaders that we need. We're going to be sending down 4 troops of male scouts and 1 troop of female scouts. That's 36 youth in each, so a total of 200 scouts. And 20 leaders, although the female troop is pretty much full. So we're actually oversized for that. We may end up sending down a troop and a half of female scouts.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
How does someone go about signing up to go to the jamboree?
Well, that's another good question. So right now, as I mentioned, the female unit is over the total that we were planning. But the male units are definitely underneath. We're only about 80% full. So there are openings. How does a scout go about doing it? Well, they go on to the Patriots Path Jamboree website, which is www.ppcbsa.org/2023 And once there's a process listed out. You have to register on the National Jamboree site. You have to register again. I know it's a little crazy, but on a council Jamboree site. And once the registration is complete, then the scout will be assigned to a provisional troop in the geographic area of the council where they live. So they won't have a long distance to travel for being in that provisional troop.
And we'll make sure that the link is included at the end of the podcast.
Excellent.
I just want to throw in one thing. You said the female troop is full, and I just want to make sure everyone understands there's still room for more females to attend.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we're setting up a extra quarter or half size troop.
Yeah.
It will really just operate as one larger troop, but there's still space. So if any girls on our council are interested in going, they can still sign up.
Yeah, we will definitely not turn anyone away.
Archer, you've been to a jamboree, right?
I've been to two. I was at the 2013 Jamboree, the first one at the summit. I was a first assistant scoutmaster for a troop, and then I went back in 2017 as a scoutmaster for one of our council troops.
Jay, what about you?
My first jamboree as an adult was the 2017 Jamboree, where I served on staff. I didn't have a council contingent position, so I went down as a staff for the overall Jamboree. That's something I would encourage a lot of parents to do.
Where'd you work?
I worked at the fishing docks because, you know, I'm a certified angling instructor. And, you know, it was a great time. And I wouldn't trade that experience for anything in the world.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I never got a chance to go as a youth, but served on a base camp staff during the 2017 National Jamboree. But I got the opportunity to go visit with my oldest daughter, who was at her second Jamboree as a youth, because she was in Foxtrot with the venturing crew for the 2017.
Yeah, that's probably the best part about being an adult on staff, is that, you know, if you couldn't be a leader in your son or daughter's troop, if they're there and you could be there with them, just trade it off for some work.
Yeah. You know? Bob, what about you?
Sure. I got to attend the 1989 Jamboree as a youth, and that was at Fort AP Hill. Great time. And then I visited in 93 for a couple of days, again in 97 and 2001. And I brought my wife with me to 2001, and she's still with me, shockingly. And then I attended the 2019 World Jamboree at the Summit Bechtel Reserve, which obviously is different than what we're talking about tonight, but it's the same property. And I was lucky enough to serve on staff there. And I agree 100% with Jay that that's a great way for adults to get involved and get to go down and be part of the experience still.
So Jay mentioned that he was a certified angler who worked at the fishing docks. What other things happened at the Jamboree?
Oh, well, there are so many things that happen at the Jamboree. I mean, I like to think of the Jamboree as kind of a scout wonderland. You can go down there and a scout can participate in archery, pistol, rifle, BMX, mountain biking, rock climbing, rappelling, zip lines. There's stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, skateboarding, canopy tours, and a whole bunch of other stuff. There's class 4 rafting on in the New River Gorge. There's stadium shows with modern groups that play. There's displays by the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines, and I guess this year they'll have Space Force too. Coast Guard is going to be there. And there's thousands of scouts that you can interact with. I know Bob mentioned that he went to the World Jamboree, and you would think that a national jamboree is only scouts from the United States, but that's not true. A lot of times there are scouts from around the world. Yeah. And when I went down there to visit, or when I was down there in 2017 as a contingent leader, I met scouts from all over the world. And it was very interesting.
Now, Don, you left out my favorite event at the Summit Bechtel Reserve, and we were there earlier this year during the summer on our way to NOAC, and we got to ride the Big Zip.
The Big Zip, right?
I thought you were say patch trading.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but the Big Zip, yeah, I believe it's the biggest zip line on the East Coast. Fantastic. And it's huge. I forget the exact length of it, but I mean, Bob,
I think it's 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, you wrote about it, Bob, right? And how long were you? What, a minute or two or three?
I think. Well, I'm a big guy, so I think it was close to a minute.
That is true. The speed varies by the weight. If I went on it, about 30 seconds. So yeah, but no, the zip is great. And Jay, you mentioned patch trading, right? So yeah. So every contingent, and we're having a contest with our contingent. For patch designs, but every contingent comes up with an elaborate special edition patch, shoulder patches plus maybe a back patch, and scouts have the opportunity. Well, they're given a set, but they also have an opportunity to purchase additional sets. And the scouts down there, all the thousands of them, lay out blankets along all the roads, and they become quite the hagglers over trading this patch for that patch and getting complete sets. Just that by itself is a huge amount of fun.
So that competition is going on right now, correct?
It is, yes. And I think what's the timeline? I believe it ends mid-January. We want all the provisional troops, the scouts in them, to come up with a design that they can send in for the contest. Yeah.
And how does a scout submit a design?
Well, there's a link on that website, so it's going to be in the comments for the video. But again, if you go to the Patriots Path, PPC, PSA.org/2023 Jambo. On the left side of the webpage, there'll be a entry form for, or an entry link for, putting in your patch design.
So Archer, I'm going as a scoutmaster this time. Tell me what it's like to be a scoutmaster at the Jamboree.
Being a scoutmaster is a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, because there's a lot of prep of getting, all your scouts prepared to go down to the summit. But once you're there, you're shepherding your scouts and making sure they're having a good time and making sure they're being safe. But you can also participate in a lot of the activities that are there. So it gives you both sides of not only being a scoutmaster, but also being a participant.
And what's some of the preparation that you did in 2017 when you were a scoutmaster?
So we would have troop meetings where the scouts would get together and we would have icebreaker activities and we would have team bonding activities, because the scouts are coming from numerous troops in their geographical areas. So they may not actually know each other. So we want them to become a cohesive group and, get to learn who each scout is within your contingent, so that when they're down there, they have to follow the buddy system. So they may not have the scout from their home troop. So they've got a buddy with somebody else. So we spend several weekends getting together and just having bonding activities. And then we do have a shakedown weekend where the entire contingent comes together for a weekend, and we can again just get together and learn who each other are. So it's a lot of fun.
And that shakedown weekend is really important for our Jamboree contingent. It's going to be April 29th and 30th at Winnebago Scout Reservation, and all the troops will camp as a unit, and they will practice the cooking techniques that are going to be there for them down at Summit Bechtel. And also there'll be many classes there to teach them about the different activities that are available and how to patches successfully.
Don, if I sign my kid up for the Jamboree, do they have to bring their own tent and other equipment?
So all the equipment is provided. And actually the fee for the Jamboree, unfortunately, the National just raised it slightly. It'll be $2,214 is the fee, paid in installments, and there are council scholarships available. But that fee covers everything. It'll cover coach bus going down to Concord University. We spend the night there. We leave on July 19th this summer, and we'll spend July 18th this summer, and we'll spend one night at Concord, get there on the 19th, and then head back on the 28th, and we'll drop off the exhausted scouts back where they started from. But everything is included. Food is included. Lodging is included. They'll be on cots in tents. They will be getting some cool custom swag. They'll be getting special class B shirts, special hats. They'll be getting the patches that I mentioned earlier, mess kits. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they'll get, but it's all inclusive.
Real quick, you had mentioned, and we'll make sure we put that at the end too, the link for the Tom Pepe Campership Fund.
Yep.
In order to apply for any scouts who might be interested in a Jamboree, who might have a little bit of trouble with that price tag, because we want every scout to have the opportunity to go, no matter what their finances are.
It is an experience of a lifetime. I know when I was there as a contingent leader in 2017, there was so much to do. You couldn't even cover it all. And at the end of the Jamboree, the scouts were exhausted, smiles on everybody's faces. And I said to them, if you had the opportunity of just having a down day to just sleep for 24 hours, would you be ready for another 10 days of Jamboree? And not one of them said no. They were like, absolutely. They
So,
wanted to keep going.
Having had my oldest scout attend twice as a venture, was the second to last day. She's like, okay, I was finally able to do everything I wanted to do here at the summit.
Yeah.
I'm good.
2 trips.
Yeah. One thing about the summit that a lot of people don't necessarily realize is that it covers a very large area. And there isn't really any transportation. So a scout going down there really needs to be prepared to walk a lot. They have to make sure they have good broken in hiking boots, because they might get that step counter going, because 25,000 steps a day is not unreasonable to cover going up to the rifle shooting and then down to the BMX bike.
There's some serious elevation change. You have to spend a day on top of the mountain.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah. There's all sorts of
There's
activities.
Chick-fil-A at the top.
And there is a Chick-fil-A.
There you go.
And they do have transportation, Shoe Leather Express.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, you gotta have a new pair of shoes and it'll be worn down by the time you get home. But yeah, it's just an amazing opportunity. One other adventure is the showers, right? Every campsite has their own showers, and they advertise them as ambient temperature.
Yes, they are.
So don't expect that nice hot steam bath in the shower. It's not cold.
It's not cold.
It's
Nope.
not cold.
Good showers, they're all
But-
solar.
Yeah. Another interesting thing about the Jamboree,
Shelf table lunches.
shelf stable lunches, yes. You have a day pack, you bring your shelf stable lunch with you, but they really push for a lot of social media, right? They want the scouts to bring their phones. There'll be an app. There'll be a whole bunch of different other electronic resources, and they want scouts to be TikToking and posting on everything they can think of. It's a lot of fun. And then the app gives you a whole bunch of information and details on what's going on day by day as well. So, yep.
Absolutely. I think you're going back to what you said about it being a lifetime experience.
Oh, it
You
is.
know, a lot of scouts don't get an opportunity to do this twice.
Right.
At the age you're eligible to go to a jamboree, you got a small window. So you're gonna grab the opportunity when it comes across. My son went to one and then encouraged me strongly to go to the one later on. So.
Yeah.
A lifetime experience that it gives you an opportunity to do a lot of things you never did before, go someplace you've never been before.
Yeah.
And make new friends.
You know, and I think it's important that we stress that if you're interested in going, sign up now, because the troops are already meeting in monthly meetings.
Right.
The kids get to know each other. We can certainly add kids. We want to add kids, but as we get closer and closer to the Jamboree, they'll miss out on that bonding time, which is really important for them to have the best experience they can.
I'd like to also add the link at the end of the video for adult staffing.
Yeah.
So for parents who want
Take
to
care of that as
get an
well.
opportunity to go down there and help out, the earlier you sign up, the better your options are for a job. You
Right.
sign up late, you'll be working the garbage truck.
That's the green.
The
Green
team.
team, yes.
But one thing about staff, you don't have to, if you don't have the time available, the vacation available to staff the entire Jamboree.
Oh, yeah.
There's the option to do the first half or the second half or the whole thing.
And one thing I would encourage all of our Eagle Scouts that are going down, NISA does have a tent, and you can find out a lot of great things about NISA. But the other thing that NISA is going to be doing this year is our affinity groups that are within NISA are all going to have a table at the Jamboree. So if you have an interest in law or firefighting or law enforcement, there's going to be brother Eagle Scouts at those tables. So stop by the NISA area and speak to some of our brother Eagles that are there with their vocations, and they can talk to you about what they do on an everyday basis.
Excellent.
So good stuff. Is there anything else anybody else has for the good of the order?
No, I think, maybe we should bring up the fact that the Order of the Arrow is there. They have their own section in camp. They're the service corps,
Yes.
and, they have their own R&R section too. They can go and play and have their own games and relax all by themselves, up on that.
And that's
Let them help.
absolutely an awesome way for our Arrowmen to get to the Jamboree and
Absolutely.
have fun and get back.
Yeah, and I believe, don't they do the Wednesday night stadium show as well, don't they?
Actually, they staff all those shows, so.
Yes, yeah. A lot of Arrowmen there.
All right, well, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Don, for being our special guest.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you to our commissioners and Bob for doing another podcast, and we hope to see you all soon.